Welcome to 1 Million Cups. For those of you joining us for the first time, 1 Million Cups is the ultimate gathering of entrepreneurs here in the Anchorage area. We meet once a week, every Wednesday at the 1Mcups space here. Oops, let somebody else in here real quick. And all are welcome. It's a free activity. All entrepreneurs, support personnel, anyone that wants to participate is welcome to join us in these events. We'd like to give a big thank you to the supporters of our organization, the Moja co-working space, as well as AKV3, Alaska version 3, for their support of this program. Today, we have a wonderful entrepreneur that will be joining us remotely. So before we get into that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us and ask you all, please, if you're here with us, do us a favor. Pull out your phones, go to Facebook, go to Twitter, and post about what you're doing here. Let people know that you're participating in 1 Million Cups and help us to grow this organization to help create greater benefit for our community. Next up today, we have Sarah Erickson, founder of Alaskins.
I guess that's my cue.
Yes.
So, well, thanks for having me. I don't even really know who I'm talking to, so I just am imagining there's people out there, but this is great.
So many.
Organization I hadn't heard of before, but I was asked to speak, and so I'm pleased to learn about 1 Million Cups and just get any support and input and advice from other entrepreneurs. I love it. But let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in New Haven, Alaska, grew up on the Kenai Peninsula. My dad was a school teacher in the village, and we commercial fished out in Bristol Bay. And we just did that every summer. So growing up, my summers consisted of flying out to Bristol Bay, fishing with our dad, and then doing a bunch of basketball camps. That was kind of my life in the summer growing up. Then I did that and fell in love, at a young age, just our Alaska seafood, just the abundance that we had, and was really proud of that. My dad would always comment on the waste of the fish skins. We deliver our fish to the processing plants, and just growing up watching that whole process and all of that waste going off into the oceans. They would grind it up, dump it in the landfills or the oceans. And us kids grew up having cod liver oil for our vitamins. And so, knowing that the vitamins are in the skins and in the waste of the fish, and truly what a waste it was to throw it away. So as a little girl, I always knew that one day I was going to do something with that. But a lot of things happened between then and now, and I didn't start doing anything till 2016. So in between then, I started a company called Wild Alaskan Salmon Company. And that was a seafood company where we would buy kind of fish from processing plants and sell it. We were kind of like this broker, and we'd sell it all different places, to fish stores, like seafood shops on the East Coast. We paired Alaska seafood with the wineries on Napa. We did some really cool wine pairing dinners with Alaska seafood. We fished, we shipped fresh fish to the Budweiser group, Fresh King from Copper River. But to do that, we worked with small processing plants that were willing to work with a small company. And that lasted till lasted 2000 till 2011. But in 2008, I don't know if you guys remember, but the economy really took a tank, and all of those little processing plants that we were working with, a lot of them went out of business. In addition, a lot of the restaurants we were supplying seafood to and other things also kind of went out of business. And my partner and I, Trish, my sister-in-law, we kind of, it was tough. So we kind of crawled out of that. But in 2011, we had lost the enthusiasm and kind of did a lot of just kind of did different things. I actually went to work on the North Slope. I was working up there. And then a girlfriend of mine was still working for a processing plant in Seward. And I said, can you just get me some of those skins from the salmon that you're filleting? At that time in Seward, they were doing a skinless, boneless canning line. So all of the skins that we were from the pink salmon, I just said, can you just give me like a 30-pound box of the frozen? And let me just play with that. So in my little kitchen dehydrator, I started playing with these fish skins and realizing that they truly were a fantastic treat for dogs. They just turned out super crunchy. Try to leave as much meat on there as possible and dehydrate them enough time, long enough. And you just really turned out to have a great treat. Started, giving them to my neighbors' dogs, obviously my dogs. And people are like, wow, these are really great. So then obviously my next thing was, well, let's try halibut and cod, because those are the three main fisheries in Alaska. So fortunately, kind of just my relationships with fishermen and processing plants, I knew the processing plant managers. And I was like, listen, I need to buy your skins and I want to start this company. And so I started buying just hundreds of pounds at a time from these processing plants, taking them home, working on it. Slowly, the business grew. I moved it into my garage. And even when I first started, my employees were working in my garage and it was ridiculous. But we were selling dog treats and it was really cool. And then in 2017, the AK Bark there in Anchorage, I don't know if you guys are familiar with. Now they have two locations, one on Diamond and one in off of Fireweed. But Mark was my first buyer and like wholesale buyer. And I just brought him the treats. I said, Mark, I don't even know what to sell them for, but here's what I've got. See how your customers respond. So I just gave them to him. He priced them and they just started taking off. So I realized quickly that I needed to do this. Well, 2019, really, it took me to come to terms that I needed to quit my North Slope job, which was obviously a great job. But my passion was in Alaska, the seafood industry, and really wanting to make this thing work. So huge risk, and moved into a real processing plant. It was in North Kenai. We all went out there and I had a store. So in 2020, I opened a store the year of COVID, like the worst thing, timing ever. So I thought, okay, I'm just really going to go for it. So the end of 2019, right, I opened up this new processing plant in North Kenai, decided to open up a store, and COVID, came crashing in, and Alaska had no tourists, right? I mean, nobody came. So it's just devastating. I mean, all of my money and savings went to all my, the new place in North Kenai and the store, shelving, just everything you need to sell stuff, and became this roughwear dealer. So I don't know if you're familiar with roughwear, but it's a dog wear, like jackets and harnesses and just anything you want your dog to have. So I thought that would be a good pairing with Alaskins in Soldotna. So I had all this money invested in inventory, and it was just horrific, I thought. But what was really cool is that, so June 1st was my opening day, and no, the tourists didn't come, but Alaskans did. So people who were just in our community learned about how great Alaskans dog treats were, and they started buying them. I mean, it was really incredible. Our first year, our first year was really bad of going, full time. But I'm just saying it was not as bad as I had anticipated. I thought I'd go bankrupt in like 6 months, but amazingly and really remarkably, people came and started buying dog treats for their dogs. And I have a lot of people say, well, I can make these at home. And of course you can make them at home. And I tell them, look, you can make pizza at home, but you can also go to Moose's Tooth and buy pizza. It's just a lot funner and a lot easier. And they got the process down. And Alaskans at this point has the process down. We've moved into our second processing plant now, which is off K Beach, California K Beach Road here in between Soldotna and Kenai. It's still not our permanent home. I still have my eye set on a perfect spot right in Soldotna, right on the Kenai River. But that won't happen until next year, if it happens. So all of these, it's just a constant push to make, this happen. So the other thing about me that kind of led me to this place in life is I created a documentary called A Fishy Tale, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it. But my passion for the Alaska fisheries, keeping our oceans clean, and really protecting our Alaska salmon has always been front in my mind as to what I want Alaska to really realize, the threat to our fisheries. And so my girlfriend, who was dating Joe Carnahan at the time, back in 2014. Now, Joe Carnahan was the director of the movie The Gray. I don't know if you remember, there was a movie filmed in Alaska with Liam Neeson. Up here, guys, I don't know if you're familiar. He did the A-Team. Anyway, so I got lucky, and she helped me create this documentary. We worked with Congressman Don Young. He was in the film. Alaska Senators, Peter Machicki, there were so many people. Clem Tillian, really Alaska's true fishing expert from Halibut Cove. Meade Treadwell, Lauren Lehman. We worked with a lot of people, and then we went to British Columbia and toured, but we really wanted to focus on the dangers of open net fish farming and how that can affect our Alaska fish, because those fish come up to British Columbia. And also the federal government really wants to expand, fish farming off the coast of Alaska. We already do this fin fish aquaculture off the coast of Alaska, but in like Homer and stuff, which is pretty dangerous, but for pink salmon. So a lot of controversial stuff Alaska is doing that is harming our wild salmon population, certainly in the Cook Inlet. But anyway, all of that just to say that I've had this huge passion for Alaska fish and always wanted to use the whole thing. So this started Alaskins, and it really is just a great product. It's sold right there in Anchorage. If you guys have dogs, at Alaska Mill and Feed, both locations at AK Bark, New Sagaya City Market, and then a lunch, watch a little like the Cabin Fever gift shops, but they're just temporary throughout the summer, the little touristy shops. So, but it's in about, I think, probably 45 stores in Alaska. So we're growing. So I think at this point, the best thing for me to do is show you this video about Alaskans. And where I'm at right now is I'm just trying to raise money, because obviously we all need money to make our businesses work. And for me, I need a walk-in freezer and a walk-in cooler. I do have a walk-in cooler, but I have a million plug-in freezers, and I really need a big walk-in freezer so I can buy thousands of pounds of fish at one time and store it and not have to keep paying for shipping for all this fish to come to me. I would like to do it just one time and have it for the year. The great thing about, fish skins is that you can keep them in the freezer and work throughout the year. So when the fish come, like the salmon season, I can buy 10,000 pounds of salmon and have that throughout the year rather than just buying, portions all the time. So anyway, if it's okay with you guys, I'm just going to play this video and figure out if I can do this. And then maybe after this video, we can go to questions. Does that sound okay to whoever's listening?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to do this. So let me find my screen and my video, which I think is here. Okay. And hopefully you can hear this. Someone yell at me if you can't hear it.
Alaskans have special relationships with their dogs. Dogs just aren't our pets, they're our coworkers, our protectors, and our inspiration. Whether they are our daily companions or part of our working dog sled team, our dogs deserve the very best when it comes to nutrition. Hi, I'm Sarah Erickson, the owner and founder of Alaskins. Alaskins Dog Treats has found the best source of natural nutrition right here in the heart of Alaska's fishing industry. Alaskins collects the normally discarded fish skins from the processing plants and turns them into great tasting and very likely the most nutritious dog treats on the market. Alaskins is an Alaskan female-owned business located here on the beautiful Kenai Peninsula. I was born in Alaska and I grew up in a commercial fishing family. I remember my father commenting on how nutritious those fish skins were and what a waste it was for them to be thrown away by the processing plants. I was taught to appreciate all of nature's bounty, as it is our responsibility to use every part of that gift. Since I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to help create something special for our pets from the waste of fish skins. And in 2016, I began making Alaskins dog treats. Since then, we've started to catch on with dog owners. And in 2019, it became my full-time mission with one purpose: to provide dogs all over the world with fabulous dog treats using those beautiful and healthy fish skins. And we're the first to create dog treats from 3 of Alaska's most famous fish: Alaska's salmon, halibut, and cod. I believe people should choose Alaskans for 4 reasons. First, we only use wild-caught fish. Fish that are harvested from their natural habitat are by far the healthiest fish to eat. Farm fish can be filled with toxins, so always choose wild when you're looking for a healthy fish. Second, there's nothing else added to our dog treats. It's a single ingredient using only Alaska fish skins, which are then transformed into a crunchy, super yummy, and healthy treat. Third, the nutritional benefits are almost endless. They're packed with protein, vitamin B12, vitamin D, vitamin A, potassium, and tons of omega-3s. Alaskans are a force multiplier when it comes to your dog's health. Shinier coat, stronger bones, healthier skin, and the overall health of your pet just gets a boost when they snack on Alaskans. And finally, we support a zero waste culture by keeping a huge amount of wasted fish skins out of the local landfills and our oceans, and instead turning them into amazing, healthy pet treats. In the United States, people love their dogs so much that we spend $5.6 billion just on dog treats every year. Billions more are spent on vitamins that naturally occur in our pet treats. Alaskan pet treats can help fill the demand for better nutrition with our healthy single ingredient treats. So please consider an investment in Alaskans today to help make our pets healthier, happier, and ultimately live longer. The dog will thank you, the Alaskans crew thanks you, and I thank you.
So that's that. And I think that probably gives you the best idea of what Alaskans is and what we're doing. You can see I'm really proud of, I sponsored 2 female mushers for the Iditarod, Ryan Olson and Bridget Watkins. And they're just the 2 cool, really, really amazing ladies, phenomenal. They both had incredible stories on the Iditarod this last year. Both had to scratch, but it was because of just horrific things that happened to them. And but I just really have grown up loving people who work really hard and endure a lot of things that are discouraging and still keep moving forward. And so as entrepreneurs, like, you know, all of us, we have all had those discouraging moments. And I'm often inspired by listening to other people's stories and hearing what they're doing. And I'm happy to have been able to share this today with you, because I think probably all of us can relate in some way to the discouragement that we have, and just feeling like people, is there a thing on my face on the screen? Oh.
You've got a text prompt that's there, so we'll need to close that box out, but we can still hear you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So anyway, this, you know, it's just kind of nice to be able to share my story with people and just relate with what we're all kind of going through, and discouragement. So, you know, I talked to a lady yesterday and she was telling me her story. And I think, you know, groups like 1Mcups and any other group you can possibly get involved with, but this group especially, you know, I think it's encouraging to hear other people's stories, just to kind of keep going forward. So anyway, if you have any questions, let me know.
Absolutely. And if anyone in the room has any questions, let me know. Kai, there we go. Go ahead and ask your question, Kai, either unmute or put it in chat.
Great. Good to see everyone. Thanks for the presentation this morning, and for the local folks pulling this together this morning. And I'm curious to dive into Alaskans. The opportunity to make greater use of our fish byproduct, if you will, seems like a huge one, from not only skins to you know, the rest of the fish. You know, I'm reminded that in Iceland they take a fillet off of a cod, and what's left is more valuable than the fillet, which is different than the model in Alaska. So kind of two questions. One is, what are you seeing as potential other opportunities as you start, you know, thinking ahead about your business that might create even more opportunity in what you're doing? But then coming back to the financing question, given the traction that you have, I'm wondering, I guess to be blunt, I'm kind of curious about why you're looking for financing versus just going to the bank and saying, hey, I've got a working engine that's making money, and trying to find some bankable support for your expansion and the assets that you need to grow your business. So sorry, that's kind of a convoluted 2-part question.
Yeah, no, those are 2 great questions. The first part is, yeah, it's not like I'm doing a business that, you know, it's not like opening up another coffee shop or another restaurant, you know, and I'm forging into a whole new business, and there isn't like a wheel or a model that I can use to go forward. So this is new. It's a new industry in the state of Alaska. And I have been working hard pushing Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. I went down last month to talk to them about this. They are excited about the possibility of starting to promote seafood for pets. And it's an industry that Alaska hasn't tapped into yet. It's a natural business for us, right? We already have a ton of seafood, ton of fish, and we have a ton of waste. Why not use that waste for a whole new industry for the state of Alaska? So I think there is getting some traction to that. I'm going to the ASME board meeting in November, at the all hands deck meeting, and then the board meeting to to talk about this again. I mean, it's something where Alaska really needs to look at. This is a missed opportunity right now. Yes, I'm doing it, but it's small and I can't really grow without more capital. So in Iceland, let me just finish that part. So Iceland Ocean Cluster, you know, I follow really close. I'm part of the Alaska Ocean Cluster, and they do believe in using all of the waste of the fish and that cod that they did. You know, unfortunately, our, you know, America, the Department of what was it, Army, anyway, they funded that project in Iceland to have turned the cod skins into, they use it for like bandages or something. It's really cool what they're doing with that cod skin. Yes, we can do it here in Alaska. The problem is with Alaska, I find so frustrating is that everything seems to be politically divisive. So whether you're talking about alternative energy or new industry, you've got these guys in Juneau that are just like, no, oil's the only thing, or, you know, they just don't really want to expand the horizon of what Alaska truly has to offer and all these new things. In addition, why would kids even want to come back to Alaska when we're stuck back in the 1960s talking about how great the oil industry was? You know, it's like, let's move forward. Let's get on with what, you know, we need to do. So the Iceland Ocean Cluster, what they're doing over there is huge. I am inspired by that. I would love to live in Iceland, because they also in Iceland, they fund all these people like me in these projects. I mean, the government just hands out money. Yeah, it's a socialist country. Sometimes I wish we would be a little bit more socialist, but anyway, sorry, I don't want to get political. But okay, second part of that is you asked about financing, why I'm looking for financing, because I wasn't so I started this whole business on my own. I have no money. So it's me and my credit cards, right? So to go and get a loan, you have to have money to get a loan. You need at least 20% down. Small business, SBA, you know, they come up, you still have to have cash capital to go get a loan. I honestly haven't been able to do that. I mean, I put out dog treats, you know, my sales, even though it seems like a great idea, it's only about 200,000 a year. So I've been doing this 2021 and 22. So last year, my sales were only 119,000. This year, I'll probably make 225,000. You know, I mean, total in sales. It's not a huge company. It's still small. We're just growing and trying to, you know, create enthusiasm. I would love to have marketing that can just push it out to the United States and say, look, I mean, we do have an online business. People can buy online. We have monthly subscriptions. This is why I really need ASME to come in board and say, yeah, this is a cool thing that Alaska is doing. And you know, we want to start promoting seafood for pets. However, that's a double-edged sword, because these giant processing plants like Ocean Beauty and Peter Pan and Trident, they naturally already have the processing plant, right? They already have the skins, they already have the processing plant workers, and they already have the capital and the budget and the money to do it. So if they go, wow, Alaska is starting to invest, you know, $10 million a year into this budget for marketing Alaska seafood pets, we're going to jump on board. In fact, Trident already is doing a jerky for dogs. Once ASME starts promoting that, likely my little company will kind of go out of business. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'll be like one of those little small wineries in Napa that have like 10 acres of, you know, wine, you know, to work with and making a small little thing rather than, anyway, you get the idea. I'd like to still do it, but the risk of having giant Robert Mondavis in the world, they kind of tend to push out the little small businesses. But my vision for Alaska is that this is a resource that we need to use, because overall, even if Alaskans doesn't make it, I still believe in what I'm doing, and I want to make sure that happens for the state of Alaska. So I'll get a job somewhere else, right? I mean, hopefully do something else, but this is a cool thing. I love what I'm doing. And, but to answer your question, I don't have the money. It's just me. It is me and my credit cards funding this business. And it's, you know, equipment and all of this stuff. And I just need to be able to kind of go, okay, I need to reset, get capital and do it smart now. You know, I guess I just didn't realize where it was going to take me. And I don't have really rich friends and family to say, oh yeah, let me just give you cash, you know? So I'm doing this on WeFunder. And the discouraging part about WeFunder is that I've realized after I did this whole video, I thought, great, let's start making money. You got to make 50,000 first for to even get any money. right? So I'm like, wow, it'll be a miracle if I get that. But anyway, I'm hopeful people will see it and, want to invest. And it's been up 2 days. I already had like 5,500, but those are kind of people that I knew were going to give. So I don't know where it's going to go. But for now, even if that doesn't happen, the video is pretty good. And I think it shows people what we're doing. I can at least keep telling my story and keep plugging away. So even if I don't get the capital, I'm still moving forward. So that's where I'm at.
Sarah, what's your growth strategy? So if you got the funding you needed to get the walk-ins, what are you more interested in growing your e-commerce business? Are you trying to get into larger retailers? What's your kind of plan that the next 18 to 24 months could look like if you got that funding?
So for me, honestly, wholesale makes no money for me. The only reason why I'm doing wholesale is because it's just building the brand name, right? Getting Alaskins out there so people recognize it. But honestly, it doesn't make the money because it is so labor intensive. This isn't something a machine can make. It's like, I've even had processing plant manager friends of mine come in and say, oh, how can I do this faster? How can we do it, in a better way? The reality is it's why canneries still hire thousands and thousands of processing plant workers, because there's not a machine to replace the human in that industry. It's just hands-on. You're cleaning the fish skins, you're filleting off the extra meat. You're either, I'm putting either whole skins down on racks in the dehydrators, or I'm cutting up those skins and hand rolling them. So it is so labor intensive, and labor cost is high. I mean, I can't hire people for minimum wage. I mean, I'm paying them starting at 16 and 18 and $20 an hour. And that is high, but I want people who are there working hard and not. So actually my average employee, they're like 32, 33 years old, which is crazy, I guess, but they enjoy it. We all just kind of sit, listen to music, and we just talk, and we're just in fish all day. But labor cost is high. That's my highest thing. In fact, it's too high, but I don't know how to do it. I would be making a lot more money if it was just retail. So that's really what I want to focus. I built this really great booth for the Alaska State Fair. I've been up there the last 2 years. And the fair is fantastic. I just wish it was fair day every day. It's a great way to get out there and sell our product. We do a lot of other little markets around, and those always do well. Plus you can come to our manufacturing plant and buy, dog treats there on site. But yeah, there are lots of other stores that sell it. But again, it just doesn't make the money. So to grow would be marketing, advertising budget, and just really focusing on the e-commerce. Yeah, get it out there, get out the story, really push that hard, because I really believe that what I'm doing, well, nobody else is doing it in the world. There's a company called Polka Dot Bakery in Boston that's using Alaska cod skins, and they're doing that. But no one's doing the 3 main fisheries in Alaska that are in Alaska. No one's got the same model. So I feel like I really need to capitalize on that. My upbringing gives me my story. I mean, and I think it's uniqueness, and what we're doing is just a really premium dog treat. And if you see it, you should buy it, because your dogs will go crazy. We call it crack for dogs because they just love it. So does that answer your question, sort of?
Yeah. What are your e-commerce margins?
Well, you mean what percentage profit?
Yeah. What, excuse me, after, your after your cost of goods, and how much does it cost you to make the product, selling it on e-commerce, not to retailers?
So we're making about 60% off e-commerce, 65%.
Okay.
Wholesale is like 20%.
Right.
It's bad. And I can't survive off of wholesale, because off my cost of goods and my margin, then still I've got rent and all the other stuff. So, I mean, I got my labor costs, my cost of goods sold, all of that in my calculation. But, there's insurance, there's sales tax. I mean, there's just everything. Well, sales tax is included, but every quarter I'm just like, my God, why did I forget that I have to pay sales tax, So anyway, yes.
Sarah, if I buy a dog treat online right now, how does it come to me, and how often and how quickly?
Well, if you buy it online, we usually ship it out that same day or the next day.
Yeah.
Just put it in a box, and to Anchorage, it takes what, a day, 2 days to get
Right.
to. Yeah.
Is that just standard like USPS or I guess postal service mail?
Yeah, for
Okay.
Anchorage, Alaska customers, we just use standard, it's first class mail. For the lower 48, usually it's in a priority mailbox, 3 days.
And there's no refrigeration or anything like that necessarily on my end. It's just a shelf stable,
Yeah, shelf stable.
put it in the pantry.
Yep. Yeah, it
Fantastic.
stays cool and dry. Yeah, kind of like where you keep your potatoes and onions.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, this is Ryan. I'm curious about what your production cycle looks like through the year. Do you kind of have peaks and troughs where you have lots of skins coming in, or is it something that you can work on pretty consistently year round so you can keep people hired on and trained up? I heard cold storage was a hang up for you, and so I'm just wondering if that plays a factor.
It does play a factor. In fact, so our Alaska is just really unique in our shipping, and that it's just, everything is so expensive. There's a processing plant in Cordova and Petersburg that I would love to buy their skins from, but the cost of shipping to get them to me is just so high that I'm now buying all our salmon skins, our wild Alaskan salmon skins that are sent to the processing plants in Seattle and British Columbia. I'm having to have them bring them back up to me. It's cheaper for me to get them from there, believe it or not, than it is from in our own state, just because of the shipping. So right now, in fact, I just had an email this morning from one of the processing plants, and they're just being kind to me, and they're holding fish until I can take more fish. So it's only because of relationships with these big plant managers and saying, listen, I'm just trying to do this. Please help me out. And also, I think they kind of feel good that they're using, the waste and turning it, and I am buying it from them. And believe me, you'd think that this would be a free product that they're throwing away, but they now have to capture the skins that are coming out the line into a tote, have them bagged up in fish bags, have them then boxed, flash freeze them, stacked and stored for me. So I'm really paying for the labor to do that, and the cost of just the packaging for them. And then they take it to the freight forwarder for me. So I'm paying for all of that. But they process all year round. So we have such a massive amount of fish. You guys all heard about the Bristol Bay fishery. If you didn't, it's a record blowing year. And all of that fish was shoved. Bristol Bay couldn't handle the process, all that fish. So they shoved it everywhere around Alaska. Here on the Kenai, all processing plants were processing Bristol Bay fish. A lot of it still couldn't be done. So they just barged it all down to Seattle, British Columbia, and they just freeze it. They freeze the fish whole, and it's bled. The fish is bled. And then as they, can work with it, then they, take it out, thaw it out, and work with it. So really all year round, that fish that's caught this summer is going out to the world. But so my fish, whenever they're processing, and for salmon, as you know, if you go to the grocery store, always the skin is on. So it takes a special run for them, like they're doing for a smoked salmon or something for a client, like Whole Foods wants smoked salmon skin off. So they'll do 50,000 pounds. And then I buy those skins from them that come off, and they go, hey, we're doing this run. Do you want those skins? So yeah, I would like to buy all of those skins and say, yep, I'll take all 20,000 pounds, because I just want to do one shipment up here and shove it in my freezer. But right now I've got like 10 chest freezers that I'm pulling them in. And the electric cost on using those chest freezers is way higher than if I had just a walk-in freezer where I could just put it in. So I definitely need a giant, even two. I need 2 walk-in freezers and then 1 walk-in cooler. I do have a walk-in cooler now, but the walk-in freezers are quite an investment. So that's what I'm looking for. And if I had that, then I could just buy it all at once. And also here, off the road system in Seward and in Kenai, I could just buy all of the skins, hold it there, and then work. Because no, it's a whole year thing. I don't have a time where it's a slow time. Sometimes I hadn't bought enough salmon in the past, so I run out of salmon and have to wait till July comes around and they're starting to process fish again, till I can get it. But again, salmon's tricky because it's not a fish that's naturally skinned like cod and halibut are. So it's the wild salmon industry, it's a wild fishery. I would like to be able to buy enough upfront so I don't have to worry about running out.
Okay, we got a question from the chat here. This is from Frank. Nuts and bolts process questions. What is the time and temperature of the dehydration? How does the skin go from dehydrator to packaging?
So really quick, hear that. How long does it take for dehydrating and packaging? Is that what you're saying? Can you read that question again? I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I see the
Oh.
question here. Frank in the chat is asking a question here about your process, about the time and temperature of dehydration. How does the skin go from a dehydrator to packaging? I kind of sense some of these questions might be trade secrets for you. So I think he's just kind of curious about what the processing looks like. He may not want to go into all of the details of the time and temperature stuff, but I think he's kind of curious about how the process works in general.
Yes, well, thanks. Yeah, it is kind of something unique to what we're doing. I've learned over the years kind of how to do it, but we do have industrial dehydrators that we bought, also shipped up here to Alaska and here that, but you know, so we dehydrate them on the rack. So the fish skin's either whole, Frank, or we cut up the fish skin and we roll them up. So if you're doing in your kitchen, you know, it'll probably take about 20 hours. And halibut is really super oily, even more so than salmon skin, the halibut skin. So it'll take longer for that. In an industrial dehydrator, it's faster than that, but we fill about 4 dehydrators every day. So we're putting out quite a bit. And then from that, we take them out and we just all hand package them. And it's just an assembly line where we package. So it looks pretty much like a processing plant, you know, with our hair nets and our gloves and our aprons, and we package and then we seal them up. So it's all done in-house. I don't really know if that's answering your questions, but we weigh. So each bag is either a 4-ounce bag or a 6-ounce bag or a 9-ounce bag. And so we have scales and we weigh the product. And it's just all done in an assembly line. So is this chat thing down here where I can actually see questions? Oh,
yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, if I can jump in with another comment and question. The comment is, I know that Chris Sanito down at UAF in Kodiak has been doing a lot of work in fish treats. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you've been able to work with him in terms of fish skin supply. Yeah. And you know, they've been looking at commercialization, have some investors. I'm not sure they're going to, you know, go as far as you've gone. And I see a lot of opportunity for you to potentially pick up some of the work they're doing and to take your energy and your entrepreneurial spirit and potentially help them kind of join forces if you've done that. Also connecting with Trey Coker out of UAF, who's done a lot of work on analyzing fish skin nutritional composition and developing a dog-specific nutritional supplement to add to the skins in order to create a value-added fish-based treat that now could be sold as a high-quality supplement, not just fish skin. So I'm curious if you're connecting, and later, if you want, I can introduce you or connect you to both those guys. My question is a little bit more about the infrastructure. I'm aware of other businesses that are trying to develop dehydrator capability, as well as freezer capability. And I'm wondering if there's any opportunity to combine some of the startups that are looking for this kind of high expense asset, and if we should be looking at how do we combine and link and leverage some of the resources needed so that we don't have to have every single startup trying to take on the big nut of this long-term storage, like the storage is being developed right now out at the Anchorage airport, and trying to figure out how to do this, because you know the burden for each company to try and take this on is huge. I wonder if there's any efficiencies that you see in maybe complementary businesses like the outdoor adventure folks of Alaska Food Company that need a dehydrator, and what you're doing that aren't necessarily even competitors, but you still need the same infrastructure.
right. Yes. So that is certainly needed. I think the more, if we can work together and, you know, and use our resources, I think that's brilliant. And one thing that 1 Million Cups is great, and bringing entrepreneurs together and saying, hey, I've got this, you've got this, and networking and learning that. All of those things would be great. I mean, honestly, a dehydrator to build, because my electrician keeps working on them. He's like, these things are like tin cans with fans. I mean, honestly, they're not that big of a deal. We just build a giant one, you know? So if someone's got that down, yeah, can you please come to Kenai and build me a giant dehydrator? It would be fantastic instead of all these units that I've got. Also probably be less expensive with electricity than doing that. As far as Chris, I have not met Chris yet, but everyone says we've got to meet, and I just might fly to Kodiak to talk to him because I know that he is a huge resource that I need to meet. Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute, they said the same thing. You got to meet Chris, and everyone's promised to connect us, and we still haven't connected. And frankly, I just get in. If once I get to the plant, I am just consumed with work, and I just think after the day's done, I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't call Chris or didn't email him and try to make that connection. I actually want him to come to my plant is my hope. And I thought maybe if he flew over to me, or I could even fly over to him first and see what they're doing. You know, the thing, Alaska gives out very few grants. They got a grant over there in Kodiak to do all the study stuff. You know, they got a huge grant. You know, I've never gotten a grant. And I think, man, you know, and they're not really doing anything with it. They're just still studying. You know, it's like, heck, I'm doing it. How about I get a grant? You know, I mean, I would love to capture all the things that they've learned. I don't really get the feeling though, that they're willing to really share that. I don't really know what their goal is there, but they got a ton of money and they're really doing nothing with it. And so to me, that's frustrating. It's like, well, I could use some money. I'm doing something with it, you know, because I'm a doer. I should probably study more, but I just kind of learn. I go and I learn kind of as I go. But the other person you mentioned at UAF, did you say his name was Trey or?
Yeah, Trey Coker.
Yeah, I would love to meet him. All of that.
All right. Well, I've made a note. I'm going to stir both pots there because you're exactly right about the opportunity, and they've done a lot of studies, but we really need to bring someone like you into that, and I can help kind of nudge that along.
That would be fantastic. You know, we've really stuck with not adding anything else to our stuff because we just felt like it was a standalone treat. But then we have introduced our CBD line. So we work with a farm in Homer, a hemp farm, and we use their CBD isolate that they mix with the wild salmon oil. And we do that. So we use that it's 15 milligrams per treat. It's just one drop is 15 milligrams. They mix it for us. So we're part of the Alaska Hemp Industrial Program here in Alaska as well. So we're licensed, all the licenses we need to do that as well. But if there was a vitamin that they would do it at UAF, yeah, I mean, we could do the same kind of thing or sell just the oil separately. The problem is when you're working with oils, you know, fish can go rancid. So you've got to go through it pretty quick, you know, like fish oil or CBD oil anyway. But yes, would love to talk both of them. Thank you for that.
I'll follow up. Hey, Ryan or Alan, are you guys still in there and connected to us? I'm wondering if we're having a sound issue in the other room.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, now we got you. Okay, I'm not sure. Were you able to hear us the whole time, or did we lose you for a bit?
We heard you. Unfortunately, our microphone died here in the 1Mcups studios. We had a little tech.
All right, good. I'm turning it back over to you then. I was just trying to fill in there.
Very good. Thank you, Kai. Just finishing up with our final question. What can we as an entrepreneurial community do to support you, Sarah?
Well, I think we can just, you know, talk up of Alaskans. That would be great. I mean, just the buzz getting out there. I think we are growing. I mean, just naturally me being able to speak to your group, people are learning about me and Alaskans. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I love reading about other people's stories. Again, other entrepreneurs are inspiring to me, but networking is huge for just getting each other's businesses out there. And for me, I think the biggest thing is to, you know, talk about Alaskans, go buy a bag of Alaskans, post it on Facebook, just like you were talking about today's meeting. You know, the best way is just networking. That social media is huge, and sharing each other's business online and with our neighbors and friends, saying this is a really cool product. This is Alaska, truly Alaska made product, Alaska owned. And I think we can all be proud of that as Alaskans, that we're trying to do business in a really tough climate here, and to support each other is huge. So
100%. Thank you very much, Sarah.
okay, well, thanks for having me, you guys, and thanks for showing up, and appreciate this opportunity, and hopefully I'll see you guys in person one day. I'll make it up to Anchorage for one of these meetings.
Oh, we'd love that. That would be outstanding. Everyone's always welcome here, whether you're in person or online. And at this time, I'd like to open up any community announcements that we may have. Bring it on, Kai.
I'm always good for an announcement. So I've got the the Anchorage Startup Weekend. Tickets are now on sale. The website's up. I've posted that in Alaska Startups and Alaska Startup Group. And so I would encourage everyone to help me get the word out to prospective startups, as well as existing startup founders and people who've been through Startup Weekend. Our past weekends have always been phenomenal, particularly when we've had, some quarter or more of participants that have been through a Startup Weekend before. They just want to go through it for the fun, for the opportunity to connect with new people. So it's really important to get new people in, to reach out of our current networks to find those folks that have an interest in developing ideas, or just being a part of a startup, or just having a heck of a fun weekend. So please help me get this information out. I also need a couple more people to help me with the organizing of this and doing some of the wrangling that's there. I'll follow up with some of you that have already said you would help, so thank you for that. But if you've not been aware of this and want to help out, please let me know. Darn it, I'm forgetting the other thing I had to mention. Oh, I know what it is now. I'm also trying to spin up with Audra Gibson, who's coming up from Charlotte to do our facilitator. She's a woman entrepreneur, kind of focused ecosystem builder, as well as a crypto nut. And so we're interested in putting something together on Monday or Tuesday of Startup Week. So that's like the 14th or 15th. And I'm looking for someone who's interested in women in entrepreneurship and women in startup investing, who might want to work with Audra to put together an Ask Me Anything or some sort of meetup for women. And secondly, I'm looking for somebody that's drunk the Kool-Aid on crypto and blockchain, that might want to work with her on setting up a separate event to bring together the blockchain crypto folks that would like to chat with her and just get together anyway for Startup Week. So if you're interested in either one of those things, reach out to me and I'll hook you up with Audra and work on trying to schedule an opportunity to create that and look for your help in the outreach of that. So again, Startup Weekend, help me get the word out. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you, Kai. Anybody else?
Good morning, everyone. This is Lisa Nolan. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Lisa. We see you great.
Great. Good morning, Alan. Good morning, Melanie, and everyone. I'm Lisa Noland. I'm the Alaska Women's Business Center Director. We had our grand opening and ribbon cutting yesterday, and it went phenomenally well. What the Women's Business Center does provide is business coaching, business classes, and access to business capital. We are primarily funded by the Small Business Administration. I really enjoyed the presentation about Alaskans. And I believe that what the Women's Business Center has to offer could be extremely valuable to entrepreneurs who are wanting to get their businesses started and scale their businesses up. So I'm really excited to be invited and included in the, is it 1 Million Cups? I'm glad to be here this morning, and I'd like to participate moving forward. Thank you for inviting me, Melanie and Alan.
Absolutely. We look forward to hearing from you in these future events.
Thank you.
And I second that. I would definitely recommend, Sarah, that you reach out and connect with Lisa.
I will.
Excellent. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Sure, I'll jump in. I'm not sure if Carrie's sound is working. It says that it's connecting to audio. But Carrie is leading a startup week this year, November 14th through 18th. And we're still looking for volunteers and help and folks that are interested in hosting an event as well. We started gathering information about what all the possibilities are to be inspiring and showcase our entrepreneurs. And Sarah, I'm just thinking perhaps there are folks in Kenai or Soldotna that from the Chamber of Commerce that might be interested in doing a walkthrough of your facility too, and showcasing that during Startup Week, since that's part of the ethos of it. More thoughts there. So if you're interested in helping make Startup Week a huge success for 2022, you're welcome to reach out to me or to Carrie Shepard, and we'll get you roped in. We meet on Mondays at 10 a.m. To organize and make sure that we're having a cohesive plan for the statewide efforts on Startup Week, which will follow Startup Weekend. Also, Linda James and I will be leading the Pitch Fest competition on the final day of Startup Week, November 18th. It'll be in person in Anchorage, and we just launched the recruitment form for applications, and I'll put it in the chat as well. It's being co-led, it's part of Accelerate Alaska as well as Startup Week. So we're kind of double dipping in terms of the promotion avenues there, and applications will close Friday of next week for that. So I will put that link in the chat. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Anyone else? Last call? Very good. I would like to encourage everyone, keep the conversation going. This event, we have it every Wednesday morning, but that doesn't mean this conversation ends as soon as we hit the end button here. Join us at facebook.com/1MillionCups Anchorage. Keep the conversation going there. You can always join us online at 1MillionCups.com/Anchorage as well. Thank you for joining us here today. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And as a reminder, if you know an entrepreneur in this community that needs to be a part of this organization or needs to present to this organization, do your part. Reach out. Ask them to join you next week. Offer to buy them a cup of coffee. And guess what? It's free. We'll see you all again here next week. Thank you all so much from the Emoji Working Space. I'm Alan Caraway. Thank you. We'll see you next week. 1 Million Cups.